Good morning. This is Courtney Moore. I'm an intuitive healer based in San Francisco, and I'm going to pull some tarot cards. Today I'm using the Thoth deck. Most of you are probably familiar with that one. And I'm going to pull one card for each number of the Enneagram. So to get a lot out of this reading, you're going to need to know your Enneagram number. I will put a link in my notes or in a channel. I'm new to this. We'll see how it goes. But ideally, you don't take a test or a quiz to learn your Enneagram number. You learn about the Enneagram and you see what lights up for you. That said, a test is a really nice shortcut. And it's a really nice way to sort of quick start the process. So you can learn about maybe 2 or 3 numbers that you rank really high on and then see which one is you. I have learned so much from the Enneagram. It's really changed my life. And so I think it's a really nice lens for growth, for figuring out how you can become the best version of yourself, which is also why I like the tarot. So here we are. We're going to pull 9 cards. And we're just going to go 1 through 9. All right. So ones. Ones, as you know, ones, you can struggle with perfectionism and a really harsh inner voice. It's very, very loud self-critic. And sometimes you can put that onto other people, that critic. That's a primary way you interpret reality and how you can be effective in your reality. The card I pulled for you is the 3 of Swords, which in the Thoth deck they name sorrow. This is the classic heartbreak card. This is the card that shows up when a relationship is ending. Sometimes there's a death or a major loss. When I look at this, I want you to ask yourself ones, how are you breaking your own heart? How is your way of doing things causing a lot of sorrow in your life? And do this compassionately. I can see as soon as I say that there's a tendency to blame yourself for doing it wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. There's nothing inherently wrong about who you are and how you live. And also, can we get rid of some of the sorrow? Is there a way that you can be a little bit kinder to yourself and to the people around you? Kinder, especially in the way you interpret the world, in a way that doesn't cause sorrow and heartbreak, but instead offers possibility, expansion, wisdom. You have a great capacity for wisdom. And once you can get out of that rut that you easily fall into of criticizing, there's a way you can see the world for what it is and truly start to make it a better place. 2s. 2s, you guys can be people pleasers. And you can really focus on other people's needs instead of your own needs. And then feel really resentful when your needs aren't met, when people don't anticipate your needs the way you anticipate everyone else's needs. I pulled the 9 of Wands for you. In the Thoth deck, they call this strength. Strong Sagittarius energy here. Look at all those arrows. When I look at this card for you 2s, there's such a directed energy to it. To me, it feels like all those arrows really have a unified aim. There's a lot of power behind the direction this card is sending you in. And when I look at that in the context of what I just said about 2s, there's an invitation to be more clear with yourself about what you want and where you're going instead of what people around you want and how you can be a good supporting agent. 2s make a great supporting actor, make a great, behind every great man, there's a great woman. There's a lot we could unpack with that statement, but that's something that 2s can fall into too easily. And so when I see this, I want you to have your own destination, your own purpose, your own direction, your own path. And it's going to be hard for you, but you have to keep coming back to your own path and how it is calling to you instead of easily jumping onto other people's paths and playing that supportive role that you can really easily slip into. So think about where you're going and think about how you can live your life today, in this moment you're watching this video, to further that mission instead of furthering someone else's mission. 3s. Threes, the achiever. Threes are always climbing a ladder, always getting somewhere. Threes are remarkably successful people in our world, achieved, accomplished people in our world. You guys do a lot, and we're grateful for the work that you do. Here I pulled the Three of Discs, which is called Works. Let's take a minute with that imagery. It's funny, I pulled a 3 about work for threes who tend to work a lot. But when I look at this card, there's a real balance. You know, in Chinese medicine, we say that 3 is the most stable number. And I see that stability here. I see a real balance and stability. There's a strength in that balance. And that's always what's being asked of you, threes. How can you have more balance, even in your quest to achieve and accomplish and contribute? For you, that often means more downtime, more introversion, or sort of like insight with your own experience and your own emotions. Maybe say no more often. Sometimes that's how you find balance, is by saying no and creating space for harmony rather than saying yes to everything and going more. So threes, that's my invitation for you today. What do you need to adjust in your life so that you find balance even in the midst of all your activity? Okay, fours. Fours, I pulled the Knight of Discs. And, you know, often when I pull court cards, I think of people in your life who the court cards might represent. And fours, you are known for chasing the ideal partner. And then, of course, no human being can live up to that ideal you set. And that's what I see here in my Knight of Discs. And honestly, this knight looks really tired to me. If you're in a relationship, or even if you have close friends or family that you put that sort of high expectations or ideals on, I think they might be tired. I think they might need a little break from that pressure. And my invitation to you, fours, is to really accept your partners, your romantic interests. I mean, this is really about relationships more than friends and family, but you can extend it to that sphere as well. But can your romantic partners be okay just how they are? Even though you want them to be your knight in shining armor, is it okay if they're not that? If they are a little tired, a little worn, if they're aging, if they are imperfect, can you be okay with that? We're going to do a quick wardrobe fix. And then we're going to move to number 5. Fives. Fives. I have some good friends who are fives, and I always want more of you. And I know that doesn't feel good to you, to have people want more of your energy, want more of your presence. Fives, for you, I pulled the Three of Wands. It's called Virtue in this deck. In this deck and in other decks, I often think of community when I pull a 3. And that's what's coming up today. You know, I see Aries and the sun as the astrological symbols on this card. And those are both really outgoing, extroverted, fiery sources, right? You don't have to do that. You don't have to transform into this bastion of extroversion. But the invitation here is to connect more. And often connection is easier with a little fire. I know a lot of fives who rely on fire, water, alcohol for that liquid courage. If that's you, check yourself, see if that's a healthy habit, see if that's something you want to maintain. And if that's not you, or if that is you, are there other forms of fire that you can incorporate into your life to get more connection, to find more of that social vibe, to share more of yourself, to bring more of yourself to the table? I know we'd all appreciate it. You have so much to offer, and I want to see it. And so figure out what that fire is. You know, I think about how Tony Robbins starts his workshops by doing a bunch of like jumping jacks and you know, raising his arms and shouting around. That's kind of fire. It's kind of energy that you're building so that you can be really present and active. I don't want to offer you too much here because you fives are really good at finding what's right for you. But the invitation is to find that fire and to inject that into more of your daily social interactions. Sixes, my darling sixes, you are the worry warts of the Enneagram. And we appreciate how you're always thinking about safety and you're being prepared. Sometimes you can go a little overboard, but I understand your concern often comes from a good place, from your heart, wanting things to be safe for yourself and your loved ones, and feeling really overwhelmed because, let's face it, this world we live in isn't safe. There aren't a lot of sure things. There's so much we can't control. There are a lot of unexpected dangers, inconveniences, problems that crop up. There's a lot to worry about if you choose to go that way, or if you're compelled to go that way. For you, my sixes, I pulled the Ace of Wands. It's funny because if I have any five-winged sixes out there, you're really being called to find some fire. The Ace of Wands, aces are always a benevolent card. It's like a gift, a little parcel of fire to start you off on your journey. So you're being handed a bunch of fire here. And wands in the tarot, it's a suit of passion, activity, creativity. And sixes, this is what's being given to you. When I look at this for you, I feel the creativity coming through really strongly, because it's going to take some creativity to do things outside of that 6 box of anxiety and worry and fear and skepticism that comes so naturally to you. I was really right to call it a compulsion rather than a choice in a lot of ways, but our thoughts are ultimately our choice. And so this card is giving you this perfect little punch of creativity to go choose and create something else. Create a different thought. Create a different thought and then brainwash yourself with it. A lot of people like what if questions. And I find a lot of sixes are using what if questions unconsciously, and just all the what ifs are negative. What if this terrible thing happens? What if this fails? What if I don't anticipate that? Can you come up with a list of what if questions creatively that are about aliveness and passion and joy in the world? What if I have a great time at that event? What if that person brings me some information or connections that really help me along my path? They're not great examples. You can do better. But I want you to work on some what if, be creative, and come up with some what if questions that can take you out of that anxiety spiral you go in and help you see the world in a more creative way. Sevens, another court card. We have the Princess of Wands. Princess of Wands. Wow, a lot of fire showing up for 5, 6, and 7. So again, for my sixes with a 7 wing, still a lot of fire and creativity being offered to you. Again, with my court cards, I think of someone in your life. So sevens, this is a woman in your life, the Princess of Wands. And she looks pretty badass. I mean, check out that imagery. Is she pulling the tiger? Has she killed the tiger? Is she part tiger? There's a lot of ways we can go with that. There's a flame, there's a sun, there's a lot of fire here. And sevens, you tend to be pretty fiery people to begin with. You are the social butterflies of the Enneagram. You say yes to everything. You want experiences and sensations. You can be hedonistic in a really fun way sometimes and in an overboard way other times. So, sevens, think about your wing woman. That's what's coming up for me here. Your best friend, your sister, your mom. This is a woman who really facilitates all these adventures you like to take. This is a woman who is saying yes to life as much as you are. When I look at this, I think you just have to go thank her. I think sevens can they can avoid their emotions. They can downplay their emotions. And we always think of that in terms of the hard emotions, depression, grief, the moody 4s, like the sevens are the opposite of that. But when I see this Princess of Wands, your awesome wing woman who does all these fun things with you, I just want you to tell her how much you appreciate her. I want you to own the good feelings that come up also and just be more vocal about them. Can you really name all the things this person does for you that enhance your life, all the things she brings to you that bring more joy to your lived experience, and express that directly to her, maybe even publicly. Make it really known how great this wing woman is for you. See how that lands. Eights. I pulled an 8 for you, my eights. Eights. Gosh, I love eights so much. Eights are the 8 holes of the Enneagram, like the assholes of the Enneagram. My best friends are eights. And that's true of them. The eights can just be a lot. You guys, you're opinionated. You are direct. You can be forceful. You tend not to cooperate. You tend not to downplay who you are or what your opinions are. I think that's really fun. It can be a problem sometimes too. My eights, I pulled the 8 of Swords. Called interference in this deck. And I see some Gemini and Jupiter imagery here. Eights, you do have all those swords in your wheelhouse, and you use them a lot. You throw daggers. And a more evolved, mature 8 knows when and how to use that dagger really effectively. My 8 best friend is who I go to when I need to call customer service and I'm not getting what I want, and all of a sudden my insurance claim goes through. She's really good at picking the right dagger to cut through some bullshit and make things happen. And I'm deviating a little bit from traditional card interpretation right now. And I'm just really looking at this imagery. This feels so right for you guys. All those swords you use all the time. And you cut through a lot of bullshit, but you cut people. You cut yourselves. When I look at this card, I feel like the 6 swords underneath are being kept in check by those 2 swords on top. And it looks like that's the invitation for you right now, 8s, is how can you find those 2 swords are sort of like bigger principles, bigger values. They're your truth. And for 8s, the virtue is justice, right? 8s have a really strong sense of right and wrong. And when an 8's really healthy, they can apply that for people who maybe can't defend themselves or who need more help, like me and my insurance claim. I want you to really know what those 2 big swords are, though. I want you to know what causes you're fighting for, what principles you believe in, what is so important to you that even when someone pisses you off and you want to throw a dagger, you can check in with that bigger goal first and see if your actions are in alignment with that before you just start throwing your daggers, before you go off the handle, before you... 8s can be really manipulative. They can really do what it takes to get their way. And to me, that's what those lower 6 swords are. And those 2 bigger swords, I see them sort of like cutting through the bullshit to get through truth, to get to justice. So know what that is for yourself. And just check in. Is losing your temper at the grocery store going to help you towards that? Is getting mad at your best friend's insurance company going to help you with that? Maybe yes, maybe no. You get to decide for yourself. But I need you to have those 2 swords really clear in your heart. What's your vision for your life? What do you know is so important, more important than anything else? It's worth fighting for. What do you know is worth fighting for? And differentiate that from all the other little fights you get in. Okay, 9s. Closing with 9s. My darling 9s. 9s, you have to watch out for being doormats, 9s. Sometimes you let the world have its way because you want things to be peaceful and you want no conflict and you want to be a facilitator. And nines are phenomenal facilitators. Like the way you do that can bring a lot of peace and harmony to the world, a lot of love to the world. That's your virtues, a lot of, this earring is not cooperating. There, my screensaver just went on. This is very exciting. First filming. Nines. I pulled for you the Seven of Wands, which is called Valor in this deck. Not unlike the card I pulled for the eights. So 9-wing eights, pay extra attention here. I look at this card and there's that central staff and all the other really cool staffs behind it. And I think nines that this is telling you, like I told the eights, know your mission, know what's important, and know what kind of resources you have to support that main mission. It's funny, this is actually very similar to the card I pulled for the two. The idea is, what's your life to live? When I look at this, I'm struck by how many resources you have. All those wands behind that central wand, they bring a lot of gifts. And you have so many gifts to bring to the table, nine. And when you live your life in a way that harmony or peace is more important than that central staff, you don't bring all your gifts to the world. You don't put them all on the table. They're these just really magical resources you have inside you that, you know, the vice of nine is sloth. And it's like your sloth, your inertia, your hesitancy to create waves is really causing you to hide your light. All those beautiful resources that you have inside you aren't being shared with the world. And that's the invitation here. It's really to know what that central wand is, know what lights you up, know what your mission is, and start to bring those resources out a little bit more. Start to put them on the table. There's some real soul searching involved in this card for you nines, because you might have a sense of what's important. Maybe it's your career, your family, a sense of beauty in the world or creation. And so once you can identify that, can you start to excavate your spirit for the ways you have special gifts to bring that thing into the world or to augment that thing? And how are you not using those gifts right now? Can you find ways to use these beautiful gifts you have, these amazing resources that maybe you're hesitant to really tease out or shine light on? And when you do that, does it make that central aim stronger, more cohesive, more beautiful, more connected? I think you'll find that it does. But you're going to have to figure out what these gifts are that you've been hesitant or slothful or avoidant to discover, and then do your work around that. I hope this was helpful, guys. Have a great day.